From music to shouting, that's what it sounded like seconds after shots were fired at the White House Correspondents' Dinner last night, with orders for guests to get down and stay down while security teams search for the shooter. President Trump was quickly moved to a secure area behind the stage. Agents lined up both in front and behind that table with their guns drawn and ready. That shooting happened at the security check-in for the event. It never reached the actual ballroom. One person is in custody. President Trump was evacuated, and he and the other guests were not harmed. NBC's Alice Barr has the latest from Washington.
Chaos and confusion at the White House Correspondents' Dinner, where President Trump, the First Lady, and other high-ranking officials were swept out of the room. The Secret Service confirms there was a shooting incident near the main security screening area, saying the President, First Lady, and all protectees are safe, and one person is in custody. The President addressed reporters back at the White House.
A man charged a security checkpoint armed with multiple weapons, and he was taken down by some very brave members of Secret Service, and they acted very quickly. One officer was shot, but saved by the fact that he was wearing obviously a very good bulletproof vest. He was shot from very close distance with a very powerful gun, and the vest did the job.
Security was tight for what was President Trump's first time attending the Correspondents' Dinner as president. A rare moment when the president, his cabinet, and top congressional leaders are all in the same place at the same time, along with prominent members of the media. Witnesses reported seeing top officials pressed to the floor and under tables by Secret Service. The president initially wanted the dinner to restart and now says it will be rescheduled in the next 30 days. In Washington, Alice Barr, NBC News.
After arriving safely back at the White House, President Trump spoke publicly, calling for peace, and he pointed out this dinner, which is an annual gathering of journalists, celebrities, politicians, was a diverse room of people and beliefs.
I saw a room that was just totally unified. It was, in one way, very beautiful, a very beautiful thing to see. A man charged a security checkpoint armed with multiple weapons, and he was taken down by some very brave members of Secret Service, and they acted very quickly and have just released, for purposes of transparency, clarity. We had some great work done by law enforcement, but in light of this evening's events, I ask that all Americans recommit with their hearts in resolving our difference peacefully. We have to resolve our differences.
The rest of the dinner evening was canceled, and organizers are planning to try again in the next 30 days. Thanks for joining us this morning. I'm Jennifer Meckles. Let's send things over now to Weather Impact Team meteorologist Jaden Knowles, who's talking about rain today.
Yes, good news. We definitely need that rain, and we're having that in the forecast as we head into this afternoon. So getting you out the door this morning, noticing over towards the eastern plains, we're seeing those foggy conditions. I mean, visibility is pretty low. Visibility over towards Burlington slightly starting to get a little bit better, I should say. 1.3 in visibility is moving over towards Lyman, as well as parts of the metro area as well. So just give yourself some extra time as you're heading out the door this morning. We do have these winter alerts in effect, and that's going to be, we're already seeing the active snowfall as of right now for the high country. There's satellite and radar noticing snow moving into parts of Aspen. We're even seeing some isolated showers over towards the eastern plains. So I know a lot of people are wondering, so when are we going to see the rain, Jaden? Well, that's going to come into the afternoon hours. Really between 1 and 6 p.m. will be our best chances. So current temperatures right now on the cooler side, the upper 30s as well as the low 40s. But the next 12 hours really not warming up a whole lot. Very similar to what we saw just yesterday, seeing the low 50s and upper 50s is what I'm forecasting, 58 degrees. But later on in the show, we'll talk about the timing and when to expect that rain in your neck of the woods later on in the show. Jenny?
Thank you. Last night, a charter plane returned to Denver with the family of the Boulder firebombing suspect, his ex-wife and 5 kids, who were almost deported yesterday, according to their attorneys, after being released from immigration custody just a few days before that. But after a flurry of court filings and federal judge orders, that deportation got stopped, and they were returned again to Colorado. Mohammed Solomon remains in custody, facing federal and state charges for that anti-Semitic attack on Pearl Street Mall last year. 9 News reporter Colton Chavez spoke to the family's attorney last night.
Hayam El Gamal and her 5 children were in Denver this morning, ready to be fitted for their court-ordered ankle monitors. A judge approved their release from a Texas immigration detention center Thursday, and they got back into Colorado Saturday morning.
While the attorney was waiting, the family was arrested. and taken away from a door that the attorney could not see. And we learned that they were en route in custody to the Denver airport.
The family's attorney, Neil Frenzen, says it was always their understanding that the family was to be released and not deported. He believes what happened Saturday morning was strategy.
This was planned. It was premeditated. And there's no, reason to believe that the government did not intentionally plan to do this on a Saturday, as opposed to normal business hours when it's easier for us to get into courts.
The family made it as far as Michigan before a federal judge granted an emergency motion stopping the deportation. Frenzen says it's taken a toll on the family.
They have been punished now by being detained for just short of a year, approximately 10 months. And just to, reiterate the obvious, two of the youngest children's twins, when they were arrested last year, they were 4 years old. They've had their fifth birthday in an ICE detention center.
2 federal judges issued emergency orders today to stop the deportation, but Frenzen says when it comes to enforcing those orders, the courts have limits.
If the El Gamals refuse to comply with court orders, the federal government can separately prosecute and detain them for refusing to comply with court orders. Unfortunately, when the federal government doesn't comply with court orders, courts do not have a lot of remedies right now.
As for what happens next, Frenzen says nothing is guaranteed.
Someone made a decision not to comply with the court orders earlier today, and so certainly that could change.
That was Colton Chavez reporting. Now, the family's attorney says 10 months in immigration detention have left them with deteriorating physical and mental health conditions. In your other headlines today, a sad update to a story we've been following all week. Caden Seitz, the 27-year-old hunter who'd been reported missing for more than a week, has now been found dead. The Chaffee County Sheriff's Office says Seitz's body was found in the wilderness near Tabawash Creek, about a mile and a half from where his truck was abandoned. His body was found by volunteer searchers. They do not suspect foul play. Democratic Governor Jared Polis has now declared a disaster emergency for a wildfire burning in Los Animas County, the Poitras Canyon Fire, It's out in southeast Colorado near the town of Kim. It's now grown to nearly 2,000 acres, 0% containment this weekend. The Colorado Division of Fire Prevention and Control says resources that had been assigned to the Schwackheim fire have now been moved to this one. The fire started burning on Friday, and the governor's verbal declaration now activates state operations to help fight that fire. In Denver, a man was shot and killed by Denver police after he fired at police at an apartment complex early yesterday morning. Police say that shooting happened just before 2 a.m. at an apartment on Quebec Street near East Quincy. They say officers were called to the area for an armed confrontation, possibly a carjacking. DPD says that man fired a shot at officers and they fired back, hitting him. He later died at the hospital. None of the officers were hurt. In Thornton, police are investigating after a woman was found dead inside a home. Police were called out to a home near Cuevas and West 101st Street Friday morning for a welfare check. When officers got there, they found the woman they were looking for dead inside. Police are now investigating this as a homicide, and they believe the woman died sometime between Wednesday night and Friday morning. They've not released any more information about the woman or how she may have died. If you have any information, please call Thornton Police. For thousands of people in Denver, free scooter rides are a necessary part of transportation around the city. And now, as the city prepares to replace those Lime and Bird scooters with a new company, there's a new push to make sure nobody gets left behind. Riders will be prompted to enroll through the app for the new company, VO. If they're already enrolled in Lime's free program, they should qualify for the new one. Outreach efforts, including in-person events, are all about making sure nobody loses access during this switch.
Probably 75% of the individuals that come through Servicio's mobile food pantry are relying on Lime's access. So it's really critical and important that people now know that Lime is transitioning out, Vail is transitioning in.
City Council will vote on the new VO contract Monday. If all goes as planned, you will see those new VO scooters May 1st, and the Lime and Bird scooters will be fully transitioned out by mid-May.